Hello and welcome to Mr. Taufik's Maths and Econs channel, MEC for short. In today's video, we will be solving the Lagos State BECE past questions on advanced percentages and multipliers. If you haven't watched the previous video we have done on numbers and numeration, please check the channel to make sure you go through them. That's very important because this knowledge are built on top of each other. Without wasting further time, let's get started into solving these questions. The question number one, a man earns 40,000 naira monthly. Then he spends 15% of his income on food. How much does he spend on food? Well, this is very simple. So when somebody spends 50% of his income, right? So 15% of his income. What is the income? 40,000, right? So off in maths, as you already know, just means multiplication. And 15% just means 15 out of 100. So percentage just means out of 100. So times 40,000. So these can take out, these two zeros in the denominator can take out two zeros there. So we have 15 times 400. You don't have to really stress yourself. All you have to do is just 15 times 4. 15 times 4, we know that's going to be 60. And then add the remaining two zeros, and that's 600. So we have 6,000 naira. How much did you spend on food? The amount is 6,000 naira, and that is option A. The next one, question number 2. The price of a television is 60,000 naira. And then the price increased by 10%. What is the new price of the television? So there are two methods. There are two ways to solve this question. The very first one is that you just work out 10% of the price of the television, right? So 10% of 60,000. So to do that, all we have to do is 10 over 100 multiplied by 60,000. Just like we did earlier, the zero here cancels the two zeros there. So we are left with 10 times 600, and that is just 6,000. Now this is the value of the increase. Okay, this is the amount of what? Increase. So this is the amount of increase, right? Now the new value or the new price of the television. So new price of the television is going to be the initial price, which is 60,000 naira, plus the value of the increase, which is 6,000 naira, and everything gives us how much? 60,000 naira. 66,000 naira, excuse me. 66,000 naira, and that is the answer. So that is option B. However, there is another method to solve this question, which is called the multiplier. And I particularly like this method because it's very useful whenever you're trying to work out a reverse percentage. You know, this question gives you a value, and they told us that it increased by 10%, meaning we're trying to calculate the future value. Okay, so another method you can just use is that we can try to work out the multiplier. So first is to know what the multiplier is. A multiplier is basically 100% plus or minus whatever percentage we're given in the question. If you see increase in the question, then that means you're going to add that percentage to 100. And if you see decrease in the question, that means you take away that percentage from 100. So this is an increase. Definitely, we're going to add 10%. So 100% plus 10% gives us 110%. And once we have that, this is our multiplier. Now, 110% is just the same thing as 100 divided by 110 divided by 100. And this 0 cancels this 0. 11 divided by 10, you basically just move one decimal place backward, 1.1. So if I have 11 divided by 10, this division divided by 10 just means I'm going to get one place backward with my decimal, okay, to cancel that 0. So that means I have 1.1. So our multiplier is 1.1. So to find the value, to find a new price, okay, or the final value of the increase, all you have to do is just multiply the original amount times 1.1. Are we together? The original amount times 1.1. Okay, that's what you have to do. So if you do this now, immediately the answer you will get is the new price. Okay, so 60,000 times 1.1. There are two ways to do this. I will just say that I'll just do one of the zeros in the 60,000 multiplied by 1.1. That will give us what? 11. So from the 60,000, I multiply the 1.1 by 10. So I have 6,000 left, and then times 11. You know, in BECE Maths, you need to be very fast and smart with your calculations. You don't have to be doing 1.1 times 6. It's going to take your time. So 10 there multiplies 1.1. Move the decimal to the front. Okay? It becomes 11. Now I have 6,000 times 11. 6 times 11 is 66. And then my three zeros, 1, 2, 3. So the answer, as you can see, is also 66,000. So whichever formula you prefer, whether method 1 or method 2, both of them will give you the right answer. All right, without wasting time, let's go on to the last multiple choice question, question number 3. The price of a shirt after a 20% discount. So this 20% discount is just the same thing as percentage decrease. Okay, so the price of a shirt after a 20% discount is 4,000 naira. What is the original price of the shirt before the discount? Now this is why I love using the multiplier method. Okay, you know, in question number 3 we have a value and then they told us it increased by something and then we want to find a new value. But in this question, they said after the price, no, the price of a shirt after a 20% discount is 4,000 naira, meaning that there was already a 20% discount and this is the new price. And this is the new price. So now what you want to do now is you want to find the original price. And I have a very simple formula to work out original price. Now, before I even do this, a misconception by a lot of students is that whenever they see this question, they'll say, oh, 20% times 4,000. That's incorrect. So that's going to give them 10% is 400, 20% is going to be 800. So this is 800. And then they say, oh, 4,000 minus 800. And that gives you 3,200. Well, you can see the exam board from the past question. They have already planned. They've made sure that they know students make this mistake a lot. They make this kind of mistake a lot and they planned it as part of the option. And then you would think you're correct. However, it's not correct. So that's not the way to do it, okay? If you want to go back and work out an original price, a very simple formula that I tend to use, which involves the multiplier, is that I basically do this. I basically say, oh, my original price, okay, or original value is the new value, or the new price divided by the multiplier. But remember in the previous question, what we were trying to work out was the new price. So if you look at what we did, the new price or the new value is simply what? The original price times the multiplier. Okay? Times the multiplier. So that's just it. If you can remember these two things. If you want to something increase by 10% and then you want to find a new value, all you have to do is get the multiplier and multiply it by the original price. But then now they want you to work out the original price now, right? You want to work out the original price. So what you do is the new value divided by the multiplier. So first, let's work out the multiplier. In this context, this is a discount. And a discount is more or less like a percentage decrease. And then I told you earlier, if it was a percentage decrease, all you have to do is what? Take away that percentage from 100%, right? If it was an increase, you add. So this case, we're dealing with a decrease. We're going to do 100%, take away 20% discount. And that gives us what? 0.8. Are we together? That gives us 0.8. So that's our multiplier. So therefore, our original price is going to be the new value. So what is the new value? The new amount is 4,000 naira. And then we're going to divide that by what? Our multiplier of 0.8. So to do this, it's pretty easy as well. Because this is 0.8 in the denominator, one thing you want to do is you can quickly multiply the numerator and the denominator by 10 so that you are dividing by a whole number and not a decimal. So you're going to have 4,000 divided by 8. And we know 8 and 40 are multiples of each other. Like 40 is a multiple of 8. So 8 here, 1. 8 in 40 is 5. And then don't forget your 3 zeros. So the answer is 5,000. And this is the correct thing. This is the correct thing because if something was a particular amount and then it was discounted to give you 4,000 naira, then obviously the price before the discount must be more than 4,000 naira. So this is to let you know that the previous the way I explained, the common misconception that I explained that the answer is 3,200 is absolutely incorrect. Is absolutely incorrect. So the correct answer is 5,000 naira. And just remember the formula. The original price is the new value divided by the multiplier. Okay, while the new price is the original price multiplied by the multiplier. So this is how to work with percentage increase or decrease whenever you're increasing something by a particular percentage or decreasing something by a particular percentage, right? So just in case you didn't get this part, 100% minus 20% is 80%, and 80% is 80 over 100, which just means 0.8, right? Now we're done with the multiple choice questions. Now let's go straight onto the theory question. So theory question number 1 says a woman has 120,000 naira. She gives 1/4 of that to her son, and then 30% of the remainder to her daughter. Okay, so how much does she have left? Okay, so this is a very simple question, and there are two ways to do this, but I'm just going to show you one way to keep things simple. Okay, so a woman has 120,000 and she gives 1/4 of the money to her son. So the money given to her son is basically 1/4 times 120,000, and that simply gives us what? 4 in 12, that's 3. So we have 30,000. So this is the money she gave to her son, 30,000 naira. And then 30% of the remainder. 30% of the remainder. So sometimes students make a mistake of doing 30% times 120,000, which is not correct. So 30% of the remainder to our daughter. So the daughter, so first we need to know how much is left after giving 30,000 naira to the son. So it's going to be 120,000. Take away 30,000. And what is left is 90,000. So now to the daughter. So the daughter gets 30% of the remainder. So 30% of what? 90,000 naira. Okay. So that is 30 over 100 times 90,000. So 2 zeros can cancel 2 zeros from here. And then we have 30 times 30 times 900. So 3 times 9, that is 27. And I have how many zeros? 1, 2, 3. So this. So that means this is the amount the daughter got. So if the daughter got this 27,000, how much is left? So all you have to do is what? The money she had before she gave her daughter 30%, take away what? How much she gave to her daughter. So the money left will simply be 90,000 naira. Take out 27,000 naira. So 90 minus 27, somewhere there. You borrow 1, this becomes 10. 10 minus 7, that's 3. And we have 8 left here. 8 minus 2, that's 6. And the money she had left is 63,000 naira. So therefore, she has 63,000 naira left with her. And that's it. Easy. So easy 3 marks are there about questions. And the final one is the theory question number 5. So a car's value depreciates by 15% each year. If the car is worth 3,400,000 at the end of the year, calculate the exact value at the beginning of the year. So you can see this is another classical example of what? Of reverse percentages. It's called reverse percentages, just like we had to deal with in question number 3. So they are telling us that the new value is what? The new value is 3,400,000. That is the value at the end of the year, which is the new value. So the value at the beginning of the year is the original value. Okay? At the beginning of the year is the original value. And that's something we want to work out, isn't it? Now, the last thing is, remember that if you want to work out the original value, all you have to do is what? The new value divided by the multiplier, right? So what is our multiplier in this case? Remember, this is depreciates by 15%. So depreciation by 15% just means percentage. Decrease is reducing by 15%. So therefore, our multiplier will be 100%, take away 15%, which gives you what? 85%. So to find our original value, the new value, which is the value at the end of the year, which is 3,400,000, divided by the multiplier, which is 85%. 85% is the same thing as 0.85. 0.8 and 5. So to get this calculation done, we can simply multiply numerator and denominator by 100. So multiply by 100. The reason is to get rid of the decimal in the denominator. So we have 3,400,000, and then another 2 zeros divided by 85. So we can use reduction techniques to get this done. So reduction techniques, meaning we're going to start by dividing the numerator and the denominator by 5. So 5 here, 5 in 85, 5 in 8 is 1 with a remainder of 3, and 5 in 35 is basically 7. Now 5 in 30 in 3, not possible. 5 in 34, 5 in 30 is 6. All right, 5 in 30 is 6 with a remainder of 4, and 5 in 40 is what? Is 8. Okay, so we have used up to this point. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros left. So 68 divided by 17 is 17, a multiple of 68. 17, let me see, 17, then another 17, that will be 34, and then another 17. So 34 plus 34 is basically 68. So yeah, 17 is a multiple of 68, because if you do 17 plus 17, that's 34, and 34 added to itself again, that's 68. So that means we have 2 17s in 34, another 2 17 in 34. So how many 17s do we have altogether in 68? That's 4 17. So 17 goes here 1, 17 goes here 4. So our final answer is basically 4, and then all the zeros: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 zeros: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we got these amounts as the value at the end of the year. So that means that, and this makes sense, if something reduces in value by 15%, that means the value at the beginning of the year should be more than the value at the end of the year. And that's why we have our answer to be 4 million naira. Okay, this brings us to the end of these solutions to percentages and multipliers for BECE questions. Now is your turn to solve these questions. So remember, these 5 questions are for you. And the first 5 people to send their answers will be marked particularly by me, and every other person who sends their answer afterwards can basically check how the others were marked to get your answer. So without wasting much time, get to work, and I hope this has been helpful. I'll see you in the next video where we'll be going through more topics for your BECE exams. Bye.